Good morning. Just going to share with you a dear colleague letter that the SSA put out, and it concerns overpayments. And I know that's a big, huge deal for so many people. I get requests all the time for assistance in some way, shape, or form with overpayments. And if you've had an overpayment, as you probably know, it's often very hard to get representation because the SSA system does not generally provide a way for anyone to add an overpayment protocol to their viable practice. So it would generally be a volunteer thing. And of course, everyone's already volunteered out the yin yang. So it's really hard to get that kind of help. So anyway, they kind of review, it's stuff we actually already knew, but you might not. So I'm going to reiterate it here for you. They talk about how they understand that there's an unnecessary financial burden, such as overpayments, that happens to claimants or beneficiaries, and there are ways to avoid them. One thing they specify is that you can avoid the overpayment to some degree. I'm going to have to add in here by reporting changes in income, resources, work, earnings, and living arrangements that could affect your benefits. Now, notice when they say income, resources, work, earnings, and living arrangements, at least two of those things would generally only apply to SSI and not apply to SSD, and that would be resources and living arrangements. However, if you are unsure ever of which ones apply to you, I would report any changes to any of these things and let them figure it out. That way, at least you've covered yourself. And as I always say, when you report changes, you want to do it in a way that's going to provide you with tracking so that you can prove that you reported it. It doesn't change the fact of an overpayment if an overpayment occurs, generally speaking, but it will go towards the potentially towards the question of fault. And it is proving no fault is important for one of the remedies that you might have if you have an overpayment. And I'll get into that in a second. So the SSA goes on to give us a reiteration of the options. Obviously, the first one is you could repay the overpayment. They say that if the SSA agrees with if you agree with the overpayment and are currently receiving benefits, you can make a payment in full through monthly benefit withholding or through a repayment plan by check, money order, or credit card. So you can do either one of those. Most people can't pay it back in full, generally speaking. Some can. But if someone is not otherwise a wealthy person, that's usually not possible. They do indicate that if you're not currently receiving benefits, you can still make a full or a partial repayment. And they have a website for that, pay.gov, or you can use your own bank's online bill pay option. The SSA goes on to say that it offers flexible repayment plans, including payments as low as $10 per month. I've said that elsewhere before, that depending on your need, and it's going to be, of course, whether they think you need something that low, given your current financial state, I have seen repayment plans as low as $10 a month. Again, if you have a $3,500 a month Social Security benefit, you're probably not going to succeed in getting a $10 per month repayment. It'll probably be something higher. But for people that are far lower, it's definitely conceivable. You can request an appeal if you disagree with the overpayment or believe that the overpayment amount is incorrect. And that you would do by filling out the SSA 561. And you will see in any letter where they talk about an overpayment, you have to read these letters specifically line by line, because in that letter, it's going to tell you if you have an appeal potential. And if it's a determination of an overpayment, you should have an appeal right in there. And they tell you how many days you have to do it. The deadlines are very strict. I wouldn't screw with it. You're most likely not going to get that deadline waived. And the general deadline for appealing an overpayment is 60 days, which is very similar to the deadline in other areas of SSA, but there are other deadlines that differ. So this one is 60 days. You can request a waiver. If you believe you didn't cause the overpayment and that the overpayment is unfair or you can't afford to repay it, you can request relief of some or all of the amount. And this would be by the form SSA-632. They indicated they simplified their waiver request form recently to make it easier to understand and less burdensome for people to request a waiver. So definitely feel free to do that. I do not believe that these are mutually exclusive possibilities. I think if you don't agree with the amount of an alleged overpayment, or you don't believe there is an overpayment at all, or you have no way of knowing whether it's accurate or not, like this is all news to you and the SSA letters don't really necessarily explain, you can appeal and you can probably at the same time request a waiver. Yeah, the waiver is in the event the overpayment comes to be a fact after appeal. Okay. They say that if you believe you're not at fault and the overpayment is under $1,000 or up to $1,000, you can request the waiver by simply calling the 800 number. That's the number I'm constantly giving out, 800-772-1213, or your local Social Security office, and that might provide a quicker processing of your request for waiver than going through the paper form. They say that you can request a different repayment amount. So they offer flexible repayment plans, and as I said before, as low as $10 a month. If you're unable to meet your necessary living expenses, and it would be a hardship due to the current repayment amount, they are, it's not unusual for them to adjust it if that is a reasonable request under your circumstances. And of course, they're going to want to see what those necessary living expenses are. They have to be necessary living expenses, not I got to pay my credit card bill over there. Okay. Anyway, that particular form for that would be the SSA 634. So anyway, it's really nothing new of this information, but I guess I just wanted to put it out yesterday, March 7th. So I don't know if you're going to be seeing this March 8th or 9th or not. I don't know when this is going to be published, but in any event, those are the basics of the overpayment situation and what you can do about them. And remember, you always have deadlines for many of these things. So you have to read line by line any of those letters you get. And just highlight the things that give directions so that you will know and you'll be able to record them and not miss any deadlines. All right. Take care, guys. Good luck with the overpayments if you have one. I know they're pretty bad. Bye now.